Hey friends, welcome back to Call Me After Coffee. My name is Bree. If you're new here, welcome, and if you've been around for a while, thanks for coming back. Today's video is going to be our winter book haul. So these are all the books that I've acquired since the last haul that I put up. It's been a few months. I think I have about 18 books here, so I'm going to just jump right into the stack. These aren't in any particular order because I already filmed this once today and it was completely out of focus. So we're just going in with how I chucked them on my bed because I just cannot deal. So the first book that I have on the stack is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I actually started reading this one the other day. I'm about 60 pages in and I'm absolutely loving it. This was a Christmas gift from Liv and I am so excited to be finally getting to it. I will have read it by the time this video is live, but this is one of my reads for middle grade March and I'm so excited to finally be diving into these books. So far I love the sarcastic nature of the writing. I love the prose. I think it's really quippy and fun. It's fun as an adult, and I also have a feeling that my son will absolutely love these once I'm done with them, and I am so excited to see what he thinks of it once he is in this bracket. This was sort of pitched to me as a cross between Harry Potter and Alice in Wonderland. I haven't read either one, but I do plan to. I do love things with a very whimsical nature, so I have a feeling that this is just going to be right up my alley. And like I said, I've already read the first 60 pages or so, and I'm just hooked, and I am so excited to see where this little adventure is going to go. Next on the stack, we have The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This is another selection for middle grade March, and I'm so excited to be reading this one as well. As far as I know, this is about a village who sacrifices babies to this witch in the woods, and I don't think she knows why they're doing it, but she takes these babies and she finds them new homes in nearby villages and towns. However, this one particular child, she accidentally gives her moonlight instead of starlight, I think, and the baby becomes magical, and so she raises her as her own. So I'm really, really excited to be getting to this one. I've heard nothing but praise for it, so I'm hoping that I love it. Next, we have The Toll by Neil Shusterman, and this was sent to me by my friend Emily. Thank you so much, Emily. I am so excited to see where The Toll is going to go, how the story is going to be wrapped up. I've heard this is a lot slower paced than the second book, so I've kind of scaled down my excitement level, not because I'm not excited for the book, but for what I'm expecting, action-wise. I'm expecting something slower paced, so I'm ready for it. I'm very excited to see who we follow in this book and how everything comes together. And next we have Conjure Women by Afia Adekora. This was sent by Penguin Random House. Thank you so much to Penguin. I am so excited to get to this one. It comes out on March 17th. I do plan on reading it in March as well. I have put it on my TBR. I am super looking forward to this. This is a generational story. It's set around the Civil War, and we follow 3 generations of this family, and it also has hints of magical realism as far as I know. So I'm really, really interested in this story, and the couple of things I have heard so far have been really positive, so I hope that I really love this one. Here we have Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I ordered this just after reading The 13th Tale because I wanted something that was sort of whimsical and quirky and possibly a little dark and twisty and possibly a little bit creepy, and I have heard really good things about Things in Jars. And so I happened to win an Instagram giveaway. I won an Amazon gift card and I decided to use it towards Things in Jars. Next book on the pile is a great big Katie Made Me Do It. I was watching Katie from Life Between Words video the other day, and she was talking about Hum If You Don't Know the Words by Bianca Murray, and I got so excited listening to her talk about it that I literally hopped over to Book Outlet and ordered a copy for myself. I am really looking forward to reading this. I don't really know what it's about, but the feelings that she had toward it were enough to make me want to pick this up. And here we have Longborn. This is my first DNF of the year. I really didn't get on with this book. The first 140 pages, I was like, oh yeah, this is so cute. And then this book took itself, threw itself in the toilet, dried itself off, and then lit itself on fire. It just took such a turn. It was like it had this really cute, sweet story, and then all of a sudden they needed to make everything dark and twisty. They made Mr. Bennet look bad, which was pretty much when I tapped out. And then it went on this random tangent of his housekeeper, and then a random tangent of this war story, and random things where the one housekeeper would go on excursions with the Bennet girls. And it was just reiterating things that we knew from Pride and Prejudice, but it didn't add anything to the story or have anything to do with the story. In case you don't know, this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling set from the perspective of the staff in the Bennet's house, and this was such a miss for me. It started out so strong, and then it just tanked, and I ended up DNFing it. And you guys know I pretty much never DNF books, so that's a bad sign. And here we have Green Glass House by Kate Milford. This was actually a recommendation from Liv, from Liv's library. I am so glad she piqued my interest on this because I loved this so much. I did end up giving it 5 stars. This is the story about a little boy named Milo who is adopted, and the adoption isn't a huge portion of the story, but it definitely comes up here and there, and I think it's a really nice touch and just something that it adds in that gives you something to kind of think about. So we follow Milo, and he just wants to spend Christmas vacation quiet at home with his family and no one else. And then all of a sudden, all of these quirky people show up at the Green Glass House at the last minute. They get snowed in. There's a mystery. There's great friendship. I really, really enjoyed this. This is a middle grade, and I highly, highly recommend it. I would love to read more books in this series. And here we have The Vanishing Deep by Astrid Schulte. This was sent by Penguin Teen, so thank you so much for sending this. This was a really, really fun time. This actually came out on March 3rd. I read this in an entire day. Murphy asked me if I wanted to do a 12-hour readathon with her, and I said heck yes, and I ended up finishing a book not within the 12 hours. I think it took me about 14. I had such a good time with this. I did end up giving it 4 stars, and I'm gonna start with the reason why I took a star off first. And the only reason I ended up giving this 4 stars is because we followed 2 POVs, and I felt like the voices in my head just sounded a little bit too the same to me. But thankfully, they did have the names at the top of each chapter, so you knew exactly who was talking. I just found that they sounded a little bit more similar than I would have liked. However, the story itself was really great. I loved the adventure. I loved the interaction between the characters. This is a futuristic sci-fi where our main character has her sister brought back to life because she suspects that her sister had something to do with their parents' death. And then they end up escaping this facility and going on this mission. And it's really, really interesting to see how everything comes together. There's just enough teenage angst to make my little teenage heart happy, not so much that it's drama for the sake of drama. I loved, like I said, I loved the characters. I thought it was a fun time. It was super fast-paced, and I really enjoyed the ending. So I would definitely recommend this if that sounds interesting to you. And then in a little free library, I got Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I don't know what kind of rock I've been living under that I haven't read this yet, but I plan on reading it at some point this year. I'm very excited about it. I'm sure Krista and Katie will also be very excited for me to finally read this because I know they both love it so much, and I'm excited to see what I think of it. And then we have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and everybody knows about Harry Potter except me. I am so excited to be reading this. It's coming soon. I can't say when, but it's coming soon, and I'm so excited to finally experience this world. My Secret Sister by Helen Edwards and Jenny Lee Smith was a Christmas gift from my sister, and this is a nonfiction about a pair of twins who were separated somewhere in infancy. One ended up in a really great situation and one ended up in a really sad situation, and this is just their story of growing up and finding each other and overcoming things, and I'm really excited to see what this is all about. I know my sister's gonna want to read this one too because she never buys me books that she doesn't want to read. And then we have A Train in Winter by Carolyn Moorhead. I believe this is historical fiction, but it's based on a true story of women in the resistance from France who get shipped off to one of the camps, and this is just the story of their friendship and their survival. You guys know I'm obsessed with everything World War II, so yet another book to add to my TBR. And then we have one that I'm really excited about, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I feel like I want to read this once the weather starts to get warm, either the end of spring or early summer. I feel like because it's set in like the bayou or the swamp, it's gonna have like a really warm, hot feeling atmosphere, and I kind of want it to be hot here when I read it too, just so it feels like right. I don't know, maybe that's silly. Do you ever plan your reads according to certain seasons and stuff? I don't do it often, but I feel like it'll make this one even more special. I'm really excited to read this. I don't know much of what it's about. You guys know me, once I own a book, I don't read the synopsis anymore. As far as I know, we're following this girl who is severely neglected growing up, and she essentially brings herself up in the swamp, and there's something to do with a murder mystery, and I think she kind of gets caught up in it or suspected of something. That's really all I know, but I have a feeling that from the thoughts and feelings I've heard about this, it's gonna be right up my alley, and it's going to just crush my soul. This was also a gift from Liv, so thank you so much. This was another one of the Christmas gifts that she sent, and this is the one that I painted the edges on. And then I picked up Ken Follett's The Kingsbridge Trilogy, I think that's what it's called. So I have Pillars of the Earth, which, as far as I know, is based around the building of a cathedral, but there's so much more going on around that. And then the second book in that series is World Without End, And then the third one is A Column of Fire. These are all massive, so I have no idea how long it will take me to get through these. I want to at least read Pillars of the Earth this year. That would make me happy. And then the last book that I have here is one that is really, really stinking special to me. This was a gift from my friend Ashley for Christmas. This is the winter edition of Pride and Prejudice. I love this like die cut cover. I'm like afraid to touch it because I'm afraid I'm gonna bend something out and just ruin it. But I think these are so amazing. These editions are so special. They have sprayed edges, they have the little ribbon, and then they also have these fancy pages inside, if I can find one. Here and there throughout the book, they have these fancy pages that have a quote written on it in like fancy font and all of that prettiness, and I love little touches like that. I'm so excited. I want to reread this at some point this year. I'd love to read this one. It is really heavy. Like, it is a hefty book. It's way heavier than the other edition that I have of this, but I am obsessed with this cover. I love it. I just want to like put it in a frame and stare at it all day long. Anywho, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down below, have you read any of these? Have you loved any of these? Are any of these on your radar? All that good stuff. Leave me a comment down below, and while you're down there, if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and hit the bell so you don't miss future notifications. I upload most Mondays and Thursdays, and I will talk to you guys all next time. Thanks so much for watching.